The Para Cave Podcast, proudly brought to you by major sponsor Jack's Pale Ale, exclusively available at Parramatta Leagues Club, Shannon Cooney from Glenmore Park Realty, BTZD Clothing, and the official media partner of the Para Cave Podcast, the Parramatta Times.
Welcome to another episode of the Para Cave Podcast. And now over to your host, Troy Warner, broadcasting live from the world-famous Para Cave.
And yes, hello and welcome back to the Para Cave Podcast. And it is the interview with a former player today, and that comes out usually every Thursday. It's either with a former player of rugby league or a fan or member of a rugby league club. Doesn't necessarily have to be the Parramatta Eels, but can be any other rugby league club, as I love talking to fans of other clubs about their story and them talking rugby league, as it brings back great memories for me as well. But anyway, back to today, and I put it out there on the socials last night that the interview is going to be with a legend of rugby league. He is a great bloke, and one that I am probably pretty proud that I can call a mate. He is a neighbour of mine. He lives around the corner from me, and we recorded this interview a few weeks ago now, live in the Para Cave. So I really appreciate his time for coming to the Para Cave and doing the interview as well. Just really love doing the face-to-face interviews. But of course I am talking about the one, the only Mark MG Geyer. Now, we talk about his rugby league career. We talk about obviously winning that premiership with Penrith in 1991. Some of the difficult times he went through. Also talk about that State of Origin game as well. It has been talked about lots and lots of times. I tried to get out of MG something that hasn't been mentioned before about that game, but it was very hard to, obviously. We also talk about his charity work as well. Great bloke MG when it comes to charity, and never says no to anything. And we talk about, in particular, the Queensland Floods charity rugby league game that was held at Parramatta Stadium a few years ago now. Pretty emotional story, that one. And it's also his charity work has led to an OAM as well, which we talk about as well. But look, there's so much interesting stuff in this one. I really enjoyed it. So again, MG, I thank you for your time, for coming out to the Para Cave and doing this interview. I probably could have talked longer. I took up a lot of your time as it was. Maybe we might need to do a part two, who knows. But I'm sure the fans are going to enjoy this one anyway as well. Now, this wouldn't at all be possible to be brought to you unless the help of the sponsors, and they include major sponsor Jack's Pale Ale, exclusively available at Parramatta Leagues Club, Shannon Cooney from Glenmore Park Realty, BTZD Teamwear, which you can find them at www.btzd.com.au, and the official media partner of the Para Cave Podcast, the Parramatta Times. Now, also too, please don't forget to follow the podcast on all the social media channels, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, and YouTube as well. And please subscribe to the platform that you are listening to as well, where you will not miss a thing. Lots of podcasts coming out this year, I can guarantee that, with the rugby league season just around the corner. Going to hopefully have a lot of podcast content coming out, maybe even every day. So let's see what happens. Maybe one or two a day. Who knows? Let's see what happens. But if you subscribe to the podcast, then you won't miss a thing at all. And just quickly, if you haven't already and you want to purchase a Para Cave Podcast hat, They are only $10. They are available through a message to me on social media, and we'll get that out to you as soon as possible. So $10, Paracave Podcast hat. Support the podcast. Follow the podcast. Look good in the hat as well. That would be most appreciated. Now, that's enough of me talking. You want to hear the legend MG, and I don't blame you. You don't want to hear my voice all the time. So, as Hindy says,
get a beer, coffee, whatever you want.
Sit back, relax, and enjoy, and let's get straight into it. It's Big MG Mark Geyer. And joining me today on the podcast is a very special guest and rugby league legend. He's made the trip to the Paracave, which I really, really appreciate. 181 games for the Panthers, Balmain Tigers and the Western Reds. A premiership winner with Penrith in 1991. Their first ever premiership winning team. Played for the Kangaroos as well, and a 1990 Kangaroo tour. Played for the mighty New South Wales Blues. He's a media personality on Triple M Network, including his current show, Mick and MG in the Morning with Mick Molloy. He's a gym owner with MG Active. Also a wine connoisseur with Lily Pilly Wines as well. And speaking of Penrith, you can call him the Mayor of Penrith, the King of the West, and someone who over the last few years I think I can call a good mate as well. Welcome to the Paracave, Mr. Mark Geyer, MG.
Great introduction, Troy boy. And you missed on their neighbour. I only live like 5 minutes away.
That's right. So it's perfect.
I jogged here.
Yeah, you did. And it's great that you could make it here to the Paracave. I forgot to add on a little bit on the end there, OAM as well.
Oh, okay.
So let's start with that. How does that feel to be recognised in the Order of Australia Day honours for services to rugby league and the community?
It's great. I mean, it's something that you don't expect. I think I became an OM or AM in 2000, and then a few years later, I think 2010, once I did the flood victims of Queensland, put a footy game on for them at Paris Stadium. I think that was when I got kind of recognised, and anyone will tell you who gets recognition will tell you that they don't go out to look for it, but when it comes, it's nice to get the accolade for helping other people, and that's what basically it's for work for charity. Because when I did retire in 2000, I kind of didn't have any idea what I was going to do.
Okay, yeah.
And I found myself working with charities straight out of footy, and I'm still doing it today.
Well, you mentioned there that awesome Legends of League Origin game at Paris Stadium. Do you reckon we'll see any more of them in the future somehow? I mean, it's a great concept, and fans like to see it.
Yeah, I suppose, I hope not, because of the fact while we did it.
Okay,
I also hope so, because getting some of the old fellows out of cotton wool, and it was so good for the crowd. We obviously there was a terrible flood, 100-year flood going up on Queensland, and with my work on the radio, we were covering it in pretty intensely, and they sent us up there to do a show from the bank, and I was still on holiday, so Paige and Gus went up and done a couple of shows and Wood basically watching the water rise, and I went up a few days later with one of our producers, Brendan Wood, and went around with Marto, who was up there in Triple M Brisbane, and we just looked at how bad it was, like 10 metres high, some things, and devastation. But then I found come across a pretty sad story about a young kid called Jordan Rice who got pulled out of his mother's arms in the floods and drowned.
Yeah.
So kind of that was the inspiration for thinking of something to do. I went back to Triple M and I said, what can we do? He said, the bosses said, whatever you want to do. I said, I want to put a footy game on for the flood victims at Paris Stadium, and I want NXS playing, and I want to cover it from Triple M and Fox, and I want it. Then we've got 6 days to do it. So I was at work, stayed back after the radio, and I had a list of ex-NRL players who played Origin for Queensland and New South Wales, and as I went down the list, not one person said no.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So about 20 from each team, and before we knew, we had a game on our hands, and Paris Stadium gave us the stadium for nothing, which was generous.
Yep.
We got 20,000 people jammed in for $20 a head, and that includes family. So, there's a lot of money there on the top of that. We're not giving the Queensland government about 460,000.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I think so. In excess did play the Curtain Raiser. They were there playing. They're my favourite band, so it was good to have them. And Triple M with Roy and HG called it.
Yeah,
and it was live on Fox Sports. So yeah, that's where the OIM come from, I suppose. But again, you don't look for them things. It's just I love the fact that every person I asked said yes.
Yeah,
and
that is awesome.
It was great. It was a good call to arms.
Yeah, definitely. Now, let's go back to the start. Pretty humble beginnings in Wayland near Mount Druitt. Was rugby league always something that you wanted to play, or did you play other sports as well as a kid?
No, I remember a bloke, a kid across the road called Mark Ramona. We called him Crazy. He was a year older than me, and I could see him getting dressed most Tuesdays and Thursdays going somewhere. I didn't know where. I asked him when I was about 5.
Yep.
He said, I'm going footy training. So I said to Dad, I want to play footy. And Mark's dad, Vic, took me. So I played a year up in the first year, played under 6s when I was only 5 or 4, I don't know. And then started at Wayland Warriors under 6s to under 11s, and then had a couple of years at North Mount Druitt, a year at Rudy Hill, and then I played for St Mary's for the last 2 years before grade.
Now, also growing up, I believe that you're actually a Manly fan as well, and your favourite player was Graham Eady.
Correct.
But your dad was a Parramatta fan.
Fanatical.
So why didn't that flow down to the kids?
It's kind of like you'll see probably a lot over these last 4 or 5 years in Penrith. Excuse me, that Penrith have played in grand finals. You'll see a lot of kids going for them in this area, but you'll also see them kids who kind of rebel and go for the team that Penrith have played against.
Okay.
Parramatta and Manly had some really good rivals, really good duels. And one of my first memories was going to Cumberland Oval and sitting on the hill with Dad watching Parramatta in the late 70s, early 80s. And then 1979, when I was in year 6 at school, the principal was up the front of the assembly in the morning assembly saying we got a couple of visitors coming today from a rugby league club. Happened to be Simon Booth and Graham Eady from Manly.
Okay.
To do a little clinic.
Out in the west.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's what I thought. Manly. I'd never been to Manly.
Yeah.
That's
Don't go that far on your holidays.
11 years of age. No. So the fact that they'd come out, and then I kind of started watching a little bit more intently when Manly played, seeing where they were. Simon Booth was a centre or a winger, and obviously Wombat Eby was a fullback. And the irony of all that was that as soon as I started going for Manly, because of Graham Eady, my uncle who played lower grades at Wests, he lived up at Patonga, up at Central Coast.
Okay.
2 doors down from him was Keith Eady,
All right. Yeah.
Graham's brother.
Okay. Yeah.
So when he found out that I was a fan, he gave me one of Wombat's old jerseys, the old maroon and white ones. So,
yeah.
So and I've since seen Wombat, and now with social media you can see what they're doing a lot more. And he was a bit unwell for a while, but that's I was. Dad would every grand final. It seemed to be Parramatta were in the grand final every year when I was growing up.
Yeah.
81, 82, 83, 86, 77, the Tide one. Dad used to put the whole house in blue and gold, a bit like your cave here. Not as good as your cave, but so, and he worked at Nilex, and you get these mats made up, blue and gold mats, and just everywhere, everywhere. So it was, but I said no, I don't. Maybe out of spite of Dad, I don't know. Maybe because it was so fanatical. I started going for Manly. Yeah.
Has he changed his allegiances now that you're a Penrith legend?
Dad's got a soft spot for Penrith and Melbourne, where me and Matt played.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
So, he's still got a soft spot. Like, he remembers the Thornettes, and I remember Ray Higgs and Graham Olling, and one of my favourite players was Phil Mann.
Oh yeah,
big
Spider.
6'8" fullback. Like Johnny Peard and Porter and one wing, and there was Ed Solkowicz, Lou Platts, Lou Plutz went out with one of my aunties for a while there when I was growing up. So
Yeah.
rugby league's always been somewhere not far from where I've been.
That's it. Well, speaking of Parramatta, you make your debut, first grade debut off the bench.
Yeah,
Do you remember what number you were wearing?
it's 30-something.
I've got it as 55. Again,
55.
against Parramatta at Parramatta Stadium, round 20. What are your memories of that? What stands out, especially against the calibre of players that you were playing against?
It was a dream. I was 18, and I don't think it officially gets recognised as my debut because I only played 5 minutes.
Okay.
So the following year in '87, when I started against the Dogs, has kind of been officially when I was. Excuse me. But that day, because back in them days, you played under 23s.
Yeah.
And then what the reserve grade coach usually had 2 or 3 reserves on the bench, and he'd say to the under 23s coach, "Give me 4 players, 2
Go up
forwards,
to
2 back,
reserve
still on my
grade.
bench in case I need them." Then the reserve grade, one of their second rowers got injured in the first half, and I went on and played half a game in reserve grade because they didn't have any other second rowers on the bench. Had front rower and a lock, and so played that. And then the first grade coach, Timmy Sheen, said to the reserve grade coach, which I think was Lenny Stacker, or was it? No, it was someone else. Give me a few players, from reserve grade. And he said, "Oh, the young bloke went good today for me." And he goes, "Yeah, sweet, put him on the bench." And then the game was, well, I know it was packed because I think it was the last home game for Pricey and the Crow.
Yeah.
They were retiring at the end of that year, so obviously they won the comp and went out in style. But this was, I think, their last home game at Paris Stadium, so it's jam-packed. So what would happen is the coach was up in the Western Grandstand, and we used to have like a phone on the benches at all away games, all home games, Penrith as well. You'd hear the phone buzz. You'd have the phone buzz, because there's no walkie-talkies in that.
No.
There'd be the coach talking to the trainer. And the trainer, Ronnie Oxley, said, "Mountain." I said, "Yeah." He goes, "You're on." I went, "What? What? Play now? I'm not going to play now." So I got up and my twitches started going off, and my flick, and my eyes. All my ticks were going overdrive, and then we went back to the Leeds Club after it, and what I loved about it was that Ray Warren was the commentator, and there's a famous trotter back then called Cardigan Bay. And he said, "Who is this young, tall piece of meat, this Mark Geyer? I tell you what, he's got more strapping than Cardigan Bay." Because I'd been strapped because I got injuries from 23s,
Well, you played
reserve
2
grade.
games
Yeah,
before.
I was all padded up everywhere. I had tape around my boot. I don't even know if I touched the ball. I was just that excited to be out in that field. Like it was a dream come true. Like here I am, like at 18, playing against 2 of the best players, or against one of the best teams that ever has been.
Yeah.
It was surreal. So it's a great memory. I'm glad you brought it up because I love that. I don't talk about it enough. Like I don't talk about it much at sporting functions and that. So that's a good one to bring up.
I love hearing debut stories and first games, and usually that's the one that stands out for players. Obviously, big representative games and premiership games, they stand out too. But you can't. Everyone's got a debut.
Well, the following year when I made my kind of debut, I was training all off season with first grade, and I got the feeling that Tim was going to pick me for the first game, but it was against the Bulldogs, who had like the Dogs of War pack.
Yeah.
Gillespie, Tunks, Kelly, Langmack, Bugden, tough. I got picked, and coinciding with Jeff Gerard, who was the oldest in our team, Jeff Gerard made his debut for Penrith, I think, that year, or was it the year before? I'm not sure. But Jeff Gerard was nearing the end of his career, and I was starting mine. And we had a big photo, and it was in Rugby League Week the next week. Daniel Lane wrote a big story on me, and that I've still got at home. So,
nice.
That was fun.
Well, you mentioned some of those names that you played against. The big immortal debate that goes on every year until new ones get named.
Yep.
I'm a big believer that one of those 80s Parramatta players should be an immortal. Kenny, Sterling, Price, Cronin, Growth, Ella. You pick one.
I think 2 of them will have to be.
Yeah?
I think Sterling and Kenny.
Okay.
I think when I think of that team, I think of a lot of people, but Ray Price as well. Like, he wouldn't be if Melbourne are going to have Slater and Smith and possibly Cronk, you've got Broncos are going to have Lockie will be there. I just think, I think Ron Coote will be the next one.
Okay.
But also I think Sterlo or Bert should be right alongside of him, one of them two. And then, because it's, that side was, it took 40 years for someone else to equal it.
Yeah, that's right.
And obviously the salary cap restrictions were a lot different back then. But you still got to win 3 in a row.
Yeah.
That's really hard to do because otherwise everyone would do it. And the fact that Parramatta did it back then and Penrith did it back now, it's freaky, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely. Well, what are your memories of playing against Parramatta? Because Penrith and Parramatta, great rivals in the 80s and 90s when you played. Well, probably the 90s, you were the big brother. In the 80s, they were the big brother.
Yeah.
Probably Penrith have taken that mantle back again as well now. But what were your memories of playing against Parramatta?
Well, it wasn't that. Obviously it was a local derby, but it was never. Penrith were kind of waking from their slumber. Their first semi-final was in '85, and then we kind of made the semi-finals in '88, '89, '90, '91. 92 was just a write-off, then it took us a while to get back on our feet again until, so we were we have parallels, Penrith and Parramatta. We have a spurt where we go really well for a while, and then we've had our lean years where we get wooden spoons, and but the memories of Parramatta weren't what a lot of people would think, because they were going through a transitional stage, so they weren't that strong in the early 90s in the late 80s. Once they won their third comp, or fourth comp in the 80s, I don't know what they did in 87, how they went, because once Pricey and Crow retired, you take two nearly immortals out of a team. Yeah, they're going to struggle.
Yeah, definitely. Well, let's round 2 this year. It's on again, the Penrith and Parramatta rivalry at Penrith. I can't wait. It's my favourite game of the year. I love it.
It's awesome.
Being a Parramatta fan, living in Penrith.
You could walk there.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it when fans tell me to go home, go back to Parramatta. It's like, well, I only live 5 minutes away. But yeah, round 2 this year, so can't wait for that one. Fast forward a couple of years. In 88, you established yourself as a first grader, and there's one game in 88 I want to talk about, and one that I touched base with you a few weeks ago, and that was the game against Balmain at Leichhardt Oval on a sunny afternoon.
Yep.
Besides Origin, is that the toughest club game that you would have played in?
Oh, they were always tough against Balmain at Leichhardt. I think we had 2. The following year we had another one, 89, and they were almost identical. They were both elimination finals that they beat us in both times. Both set ground records. I'm not sure what year it was, but they had Early Hanley in the centres, who was just so good. I think 89 was when they brought out the other ones, Courier.
Yep.
A couple of others, but Blocker and Ciro were formidable, and I wish I knew them after I toured with them.
Okay, yeah.
Because when I was playing that 88 game, I was 19, going on 20, and these bastards were hard and tough. But that wasn't just them. Brooksy, David Brooks in the second row, and Wayne Pearce, who hit like a sledgehammer, and Benny Elias was always in the game, and but them 2 games against Balmain in the 88 and 89 final series, they're 2 of the. I played it in my first year, 87, against South Sydney at Redfern.
Okay, yeah.
And we turned up and there was people just everywhere in that Everleigh Street.
Yeah.
In the backdrop you see it from the east looking to the west, west looking to the east. There's all them housing units. There seemed to be every person had 2 or 3 people in that housing unit as well, and it was playing against Les Davidson and David Boyle and this Mario Fennick,
Ian Roberts.
Ian Roberts, the hits, man, that day. Well, I've never been hit that hard in a rugby league game that consistently.
Wow.
And that Balmain game as well. I got hammered. Every time I touched the ball, I got hammered, and it's always great. Then that's social media for all its pitfalls and all the trolling and shit. It's great to look. Some of the best things coming out of the social media are the memories that other people can see, not just that are in my house.
Yeah.
All these old games are popping up. You go, oh wow, you forgot about that, and you forgot about this, and it's always good to reminisce. But I'm glad I'm not playing today. Put it that way, these bastards are too big and strong. I've got a young bloke who's on the cusp of doing something. He's just. But when I watch him, what they're doing for training and how often they train and how hard they train, and the other day they done a 9K training session. They are full on. And Penrith are full on. That's why they've won 3 in a row. They don't have anyone who's not fit in their squad or disciplined. And that's how you win competitions, by being the fittest and the most disciplined club in the competition. And for 4 years now, they've made 4 grand finals, so they're doing something right.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we'll get to Bav a little bit later, but on that day against Balmain, what were we trying to do? Were we trying to take Gary Freeman's head off? Or,
mate, who knows?
Is he just such a pest on the field?
Yeah, him and Benny together, it's almost unfathomable. You can just, I was the hitman for my team. But even at 19, I was Ron Willie, who was the coach. He wanted me to be the player in our team that no one wanted to run at. So some weeks I'd make 8 tackles, 7 tackles, and he'd be happy with that. It means they're not coming down your way, Mountain. They don't want to, because I would.
Well, I don't blame him.
Well, back then I wouldn't have ran at me either. I would, I was just a frigging lunatic. But I gave as much as I was given.
Yeah.
I copped as much as I gave, and I think that's the memories I have of being. I suppose Ron was always synonymous with having that one player in his team who were a little bit batshit crazy. And that was me. He had Les Davidson before that, and at Manly he had some players who could do it as well. So he just happened to pick me up.
Well, you also did have some fans in the crowd as well, because one of them had the big sign over the fence, the MG fan club. So you did have some fans there.
At least one there.
Yeah, that's it. Can you tell the listeners about you mentioned Ron Willie there. Can you mention the story about the park bench story? Yeah, I think it's a classic. Ron
didn't want any of us. Ron had one rule for us all, and when he first spoke to us upon arriving, he said he sat us all down, because back then we had 55 players in the club, first reserves and under 23s. And he said, "Boys, I won't be long. All I want to say to you guys is, I don't want anyone in my club who chip kicks in their own half." I went, okay. No, it's
Yeah, fair enough.
Won't be me. I looked at Brandy and Bradyzard and that, and they're going, what's going on? So we're playing Parramatta in the 2nd or 3rd round of the year at Para Stadium, and Brandy was out for some reason. Might have heard he's had a hamstring problem or something. So when Brandy wasn't playing, I kind of took over the role. Well, I thought I'd take over the role at the halfback, the 6'5" halfback. And we're about 10 minutes into the game. And I said, "Whiz!" It was about the 4th tackle, and I noticed that who's their fullback? Help me out here. Not Mick Delroy.
Paul Taylor.
No,
maybe.
It was
Scotty Martin.
No.
Around that time, no.
Anyway, I noticed that he kept being right back, like he was way back, because I used to watch that type of stuff in case I wanted the halves to kick for me.
Yep.
So I noticed he was like right back on the quarter line. We're just in front of halfway. There's about 30 metres between us and him. I said, "Whiz, Bradyzard." He was 5'8". I said, look how far back he is.
Yep.
Well, he said, "What?" I said, he goes, "Look where you are." And I was about a metre inside my own half. And he said, "Mate, Mountain, you're in your own half. I'm going to kill you." I said, "Come on, let's go."
Run 2 metres.
Yeah, I didn't even think about it. I just got the ball chipped over the top. Bradyzard went flying through. Missed it by a bee's dick. The fullback got it. Scored up the other end.
Yeah, okay, wow.
I got replaced straight away. "Get off." The trainer said, I said, "It's 10 minutes in the game." This is when you had 2 players on the bench, a forward and a back.
Not coming back on.
That's it. So Ron was pissed off, obviously. I said to him in the sheds after, I said, "Sorry, Ron, I know I shouldn't have done that." And we won the game, but he didn't talk to me.
Yeah,
Didn't say a word to me. So this went on for. I tried to apologise 3 or 4 times in that first week. He wouldn't have a bar of it. I went, oh fuck it, I'm not going to, I just got to get on with life.
Yeah.
So every Tuesday night, I'd find out I was in the team by either looking at the board, or if I wasn't on the board until the Wednesday, I'd say, because then there was a radio show on 2UE, I think, that gave the teams out, Peter Bosley. And I'd say to Dad, have you heard the teams? And he said, yep. I said, am I in? He goes, yep. So he never dropped me.
Yeah, okay.
But,
yeah.
So we made the semi-finals that year, and we're playing the Tigers in a prelim knockout competition, knockout semi, and in 88. And because there was no M7s and M4s and M2s back then, it took a good an hour and a half to get to the city. So we used to have a place when we played games in the city. We went down the night before, South or Roosters, and stayed at this hotel at Bondi called the Bondi Inn, Bondi Motel. And the day of the game, we went up for. In the meantime, I'm talking to the Bulldogs. I've had 3 meetings with Peter Moore.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking my days at Penrith are numbered. The coach won't talk to me.
Yeah.
The hierarchy were trying to intervene, and Ron would just win out of a bar of it. So one day we were at Bondi. We got up for our little morning walk before we'd come back for breakfast, and we're walking on the beach. And all of a sudden I hear mountain, because that's what Ron used to call me. And I thought, one of the boys, the young boys are taking the piss here, and mountain. And I looked around, it was Ron.
Okay.
I went, fuck, what's this, 6 months since I've spoken to you? This is unbelievable. And he called me over and I said, yes, mate. He goes, I want to show you something. I said, okay. So everyone kept walking. We were looking behind just to see what was going on between us. And we walked over to this park bench, and there's this vagrant laying on the park bench with newspaper as a blanket, poor bastard. And Ron kind of deadpan said to me, see him out in this bloke here? I said, yes, Ron. He said, here's the chip kick in his own half. I went, what? What? You've been waiting 6 months? I've learned my lesson, man. I learned the first night.
And then he tells you that.
6 months later. It was fun. I paid it, but it was good. But then Ron coached us the next year, and then obviously the rest is history with Gus Gould coming in at 1990.
Yeah, well, let's get to 1990. A massive year for yourself personally and for Penrith. Let's start with Penrith, and Penrith make the grand final for the first time. Before we get to the grand final, we've got a listener question from a Paul Nobby Clark, one of your great mates and former teammates.
Yeah.
And he wanted me to ask you about the night before the grand final breakfast on the Friday.
Oh, far out.
At the Four Seasons Hotel. He says, you can take the boy out of Penrith, but you can't take Penrith out of the boy.
That's correct. I think we'll. There's about 8 of us in that bet. We went down to the grand final, but first of all, when we made the grand final, we kind of partied like we won it.
Okay.
Like we had a civic reception, we had ticker tape parades, we had shirts made up. Like this is big in Penrith. First time we've ever made a grand final. We started in '67, so 77. Yeah, so a long time, 23 years or something. Then the breakfast. So we used to always Tuesday night. We train on Tuesday, and train Thursday, train Saturday morning. Usually play on Sunday.
Yep.
If we played on a Saturday, we'd train Friday morning instead. Blokes would get time off work and stuff. So the grand final breakfast was and we'd have a drink every Thursday. Ron would say he'd make us all bring a change of clothes to training on Thursday, and then you'd have to at least go to the Australian Arms and have at least 2 beers.
Okay.
Then you can go home.
Camaraderie, mateship.
Most of us stayed on went to the club for the Dolls Rick night and got on it.
Yeah.
So we went down Wednesday night to the grand final breakfast was on a Thursday. Then we stayed at the Four Seasons, and Gus gave us our room keys and all that type of stuff, and he said, have a couple of beers if you want, but don't go crazy. Well, we did.
Yeah.
So about 8 of us said, whose room are we going to? And Cole Bentley said, come to mine. So we went to Gently Bentley's room, and a few of us had our girlfriends over on a Kentucky tour. So we got this room. Straight away we ordered a seafood plate, like a big, like $1,000 seafood platter.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have been that then. It would have been like a few $100, but just all the food you could eat, best food, and then bottles of Dom Pérignon. Just got up to the room, about 10 of them. So we're going. Night's going great. We're ringing our missus over in England, like at their. We said we rang them reverse chart. We rang them. I forget how we got hold of them, but we got hold of them and said, look, we've got a hotel where we're not paying anything for the room. So ring this number and ask. And so we spoke to them for about an hour.
Yeah, wow.
So then the night went next level because it was about midnight and we were getting pretty drunk. The music was loud and the next minute it was 1 o'clock in the morning and there was a big knock on the door. And we thought, oh shit, might be hotel security or something. Paul Smith was over near it and we said, Smitty, have a look through the peephole. See who it is. He goes, yep, sweet. And he looked through and you could almost see these legs buckle underneath him.
Okay.
He said, it's fucking Gus.
Yeah.
Well, what? I said, fuck, turn it down, hide, shit. Everyone's who was in that room was trying to their best to hide and put away food. And so Smitty opened the door and we just all jumped behind lounges and I stood behind a light post, like thinking he won't see me. He walked in, there was nothing. He didn't say a word for about 30 seconds. And then he said, nice, you just lost the grand final. See you boys at the breakfast. I went, whoa. Closed the door and we started partying again until 3 o'clock in the morning. Then we woke up in the morning and we were all a little bit worse for wear. And we made our way to the breakfast and Gus was still pissed off. And history will tell you, we lost. We didn't pay the grand final the respect it deserved. You know, even though we were in our first one and we didn't know how to act or carry on. We didn't show it what it deserved, and we paid the ultimate price, and that was a bad loss. It wasn't a flogging. We were in the game up until the last 4 or 5 minutes. It was a close game, but we didn't. Put it this way: the following year when we made the grand final, we did nothing like that.
Yeah, you learnt your lesson.
Yeah.
Well, a sort of a silver lining in 1990 is you make the Kangaroo Tour, the second last one that's ever happened in that format. With Freddie, Cardi and Brandy as well.
Yep.
Was that at that point, was that a career highlight? Because you'd already represented New South Wales in Origin.
In 88 I played in a Prime Minister's or President's 13 side against England when they come out at Seaford Oval. Yeah. So up until then, the biggest thing I'd done in rugby league was play for New South Wales under 18s. And then my first grade debut was big. That was a year later. 86 I played in the under 18s. But then 88 I played the Presidents, and then Origin 89. And that was kind of a game that I wanted to get rid of because I played really badly and we got beat 36-6. So the Kangaroo Tour, I was told before the game by someone, I don't know if it was Gus but they said whoever wins at Penrith and Canberra, if you win, you'll go on the Kangaroo Tour, and if Canberra win, Gary Coyne's going on the Kangaroo Tour.
Yep.
So once we got beaten, I didn't even think about the Kangaroo Tour. That was, we got back to the Leeds Club after the game, and there was a big announcement over the PA. Don Feltus had the microphone. He said, ladies and gentlemen, can we have your attention? Just like to congratulate the 4 players who have made the Kangaroo Tour. And I went, wow, it's one lucky. So Brandy, Cardi and Freddie were all odds on to go.
And who were you thinking?
I didn't know. Brad Izzard maybe, or Cole Vandervoort. I don't know who. Not me. Not me. Because I was told that, if we won, I was going.
Yeah.
And then they read out the first 3 boys' names, and he said, and taking up the 28th position on the Kangaroo Tour is MG, Mark Geyer. I went, whoa, wow. So we partied hard and had 2 days to get our shit together. Passports and whatnot, and we met down at got our medicals done and all that type of stuff, and that weekend, the weekend after the grand final, the following weekend, we were on the plane to England with all these superstars on this plane, 28 of us, just looking everywhere you look was rugby league royalty,
And your roommate was Cardi, and in the next room next to you was David Gillespie and Paul Ciro.
Oh, funny, man.
Any Kangaroo tour stories?
Yeah, look, what stays on tour?
Yeah,
goes on tour. Because what happened was they got beaten the first test. So there was a big shake-up. I arrived in England and had tonsillitis for the first week, so I missed the first game against, I think it was Wakefield or something. Who was it against? Anyway, so I was in, they all went, I stayed in a hotel room.
Yeah.
So after that first test loss, Cement was in the team. He got flicked. Cardi got put in the team. And Ciro was in the team already, so they kept him in. But so Cardi went in for Cement. And then they put him in my room for the rest of the tour. And Cardi and Ciro room for the rest of the tour.
Okay.
Just funny. I think, like, watching... So that's what I mean when I played against Balmain in that late 80s and how formidable and how scared you were of them. Then you see you go away on a Kangaroo tour with all these blokes and you see they're the same as you. They miss their family as much as you do. They miss their friends and they get homesick and they shed a tear when on the drink. You know, they get emotional. They cut down a lot of barriers and... there was the best 3 months of my life.
Yeah.
It was the best 3 months of my life, and then they had another one in '94, and that was it. They stopped doing them.
I know it's probably not feasible to do it, but is there a way that somehow some sort of Kangaroo tour can come back in some sort of format with like 3 tests against England and maybe half a dozen games against club sides? I know the competitions over there are aligned with our ones, so probably might make it a bit difficult.
Yeah, that's. I don't think we'll see it in how it is now, how the current format is, because you're right. They used to be. They'd play. We go over there and they would be. So that was their winter. So that was the middle of their winter when we went over there. So it was freezing. So their competition was. Then they started like in the mid-90s playing in their summer.
Yep.
So I don't know. I'd love to be able to think that they would do it again, but
yeah, I'm thinking maybe something like
nothing better than watching them games at 2 o'clock in the morning. Getting up
absolutely. I mean, I've still got some on tape around here somewhere. Australia and Wigan and
Wakefield, and
you see the old games on Fox as well, the old Test matches, and
I love it.
I was thinking the other day maybe something like a. Like you got the Olympics and the Commonwealth Games, so you got the Olympics every 4 years, and you got the Commonwealth Games every 2 years. So you got the World Cup in rugby league every 4 years. Maybe you could have a Kangaroo tour on the 2 year sort of.
I'd like them to think about it because it'd be a friggin' excellent thing. But look, with the way we're going with the competition, we'll get the 20 teams within 4 years, and we're going to be like NFL. We'll play one round against everybody. We'll stop in the middle for Origin. And all the other rep sides, the girls' Origin and the Pacific Nations, and that, I think that we're getting to that closer than I think at the moment. Once this 18th team is obviously in the papers the last couple of days, they're talking about the Bears and the Pacific Nations, but I think we'll get to a 20-team comp, and then we'll play each other once throughout the year and have a little break, 3-week break in the middle for Origin, play week.
Yeah,
Wednesday.
Yeah, because I think that's what they did at the end of the COVID year. They played Origin.
Bang, bang, bang.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I mean, obviously you can't have Origin
it's
at the
hard
end of the year.
But it's hard having. You can't have Origin after a comp.
No.
After the season's finished.
No.
Because no one takes it as hard. No one would. Origin wouldn't be Origin then because you haven't got the intensity. Everyone's putting the cue in the rack after the comp's finished.
That's it. Well, let's get to 1991, and before we get to the grand final, I want to talk about the infamous night at half-time with the King, Wally Lewis. But you've been on a lot of podcasts and a lot of speaking tours. Is there something, a unique story that we probably maybe not have heard before about that night at all? Or I know it might be hard.
I reckon I've spoken about that. That happened 33 years ago. I reckon I've spoken about that 3,333 times at least.
So there's probably not...
No, I've tried to think of it. All I remember was that I used to hate playing in rain and wet weather. I hated it. But this night, because I was told to go out and run a mark from selectors and I wouldn't be penalised for it, like it's kind of given being given a green light in a game of rugby league, like, you know, especially when you are an aggressive player, like that's the biggest thing you can ever have. It's, you know, and I remember it was pissing down all day. I didn't care. I went, bring it, just whatever it is, I don't care, because I'm going to go out there and do what I want in this game, and there's going to be no ramifications, and I'm going to be. And I did that, and we won 14-12. With Michael O'Connor kicking a goal from the sideline, which doesn't often get spoken about. Won 14-12, and as we're sitting in the dressing room after the game, I sitting there having a beer with my dad, and all the media just come flooding towards me. And I said to my dad, I think I got me out of the match. He goes, I don't think so, mate. And then, they bombard me with, you know, they want you out of the game next door, they want you in jail. I went, what?
It's a game of footy.
Graham Lowe was livid, the coach of Queensland. He was livid. I went to the judiciary, and they said, what's going on? I said, mate, I was told that I could run amok, basically. And they said, who told you? I said, no. Well, you know, Dobbin.
Yeah.
So I got a 6-week suspension for that, and never played Origin again. 3 games.
But I mean, it just shows you that you respect the bosses and you listen to what they said. They gave you the green light, and you were just listening to them and doing what they. I wonder when
look, and I didn't play that far out of the realms. It was just that Wally knew that I was getting over the top of his players, and every time I'd make a tackle, he'd let Manson know. Oh, there he is again. Like, it never stopped all through the game. And the irony of that was that I wanted to bash him so bad after that, because I got 6 weeks, that I looked in the calendar, because he was captain coach of the Gold Coast team then.
That's right, yeah.
And I said, the first game back is against Gold Coast. Bring it on. Bring it. So 2 minutes before the game, you always go out and check I would just do, so if there's any late changes. And when I went out to check it, I went, you're kidding. Oh. You're kidding. Red pen through his name. He's out injured. I went, what? So
the coach has ruled him out.
Himself. So we beat them pretty convincingly, and then after the game, I'm sitting at the bar with a few of the players. Just I don't know what I was doing. I don't know what I would have done, but I just wanted to say something to him and get it off my chest, because I blamed him for my suspension. You know, I said, you're a soft cock. You know, he's calling me all the names under the sun, and then I'm sitting there for about 20 minutes. All the rest of the Gold Coast team were walking in, and when he's not coming, he won't be here. So I'm just about to walk away, and then I get a tap on the back of my shirt. I looked around, and it was Wally. He had a jug of beer and 2 glasses. I said, come on. So we sat there for about 3 hours drinking beer together and sorting it out. And I told him how I felt, and he said, look, we wouldn't have done that to Queenslander. If we tell them to do something, we back them up. Yeah. Obviously, you didn't get backed up by the New South Wales Rugby League. So you're a scapegoat. And the most thing I was dirty about was that I didn't get a chance to play in the decider, because in the first game, they beat us 4-2.
Yeah, that's
up at Glenmore Park.
Yep.
And that was when I got told to run amok, because I had a pretty quiet game by my aggressive standards, you know. They said, we need some more aggression from you. We need to put him, you know, we need to worry him a bit. And I said, well, I'm just come off a 4-week suspension. You know, I don't want to be starting to cost me money being suspended.
Yeah.
And they said, well, you can't be suspended in Origin. And when's the last time someone got sent off for sin bin? And up until then, that was 11 years of Origin, not one person had.
Yeah.
So, and there's a lot more media fights than mine wasn't even a fight. Mine was a confrontation.
That's right.
And I think that's why I get spoken about so much, because no one knows what happened. But it was just left there. Like when you see Gow fight Miles, or you see the one in Melbourne, you see punches thrown.
That's right.
And everyone kind of just saw it there, and that was it. That was it. They didn't talk about it again because, and I think as well because there was Wally Lewis involved, you know, and I'm you know, I'm a very honest person.
Yeah.
I've got no doubt that if that didn't happen in 91 Origin, I wouldn't be sitting here right now. I wouldn't be on radio. I wouldn't be, it gave me a platform. Because every time Wally Lewis gets spoken about in Origin, I'm not far behind him.
That's right.
And I was half the player.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Do you think if punches were thrown, then it would have changed it even more again?
Well, I would have, he was 32, I was 22. And I think I would have handled him pretty well.
I think so too.
Yeah, and it showed me how much respect I had. Like, at that time, he was the best player in the world.
Yeah.
And I used to watch him since 1980 play Origin, and I always just thought, this is surreal. We even played against him for the Broncos in '88 when they come in. So I just loved the way he handled himself, and and then that happened, and then life after that was kind of another chapter in our lives because he's got a daughter who's deaf, and I've got two daughters with epilepsy. And when we need a favour from each other, like, can you send me a jersey, a number 6 Queensland jersey for the epilepsy function, or MG, can you come up for a speaking gig for Jamie Lee's association? Yeah, it's great. We're best shed ambassadors for a while till they brushed. I don't know if Wally's, but they brushed me. But yeah, it's a good friendship. I count him as a friend, and every time we're together, I think he has a big smile on his face, as do I.
That's awesome, and we give a shout out to Wally as well. He's doing a little bit tough at the moment, so we hope he's going well.
Bloody oath.
As well. Let's get to the grand final, because Penrith win the grand final in 91, and you practically started off the game like you finished off that Origin game, because you made those 2 tackles in the first set.
Yeah, we knew we had Lazarus was their man. I had to take him out.
Yep.
I had 3 blokes in mind before the game. Was Lazarus, Steve Waters, and Brad Clyde, who were there. 3 guys outside of Stewart and Daly, who Lazo would just get him on a roll. Steve Waters out of dummy half is so deadly, and Brad Clyde was probably the best back rower in the competition at that stage, and so you wanted to try and make sure they knew you were there on the other side of the field. And the first 2 tackles, it was Lazo, then Steve Waters.
Yep.
And I went in hard as I could, like real hard. And I got penalised for the second one on Walters, but he stuck his head at the last minute. And Brad Clyde, hit him hard in one of the tackles in the first half as well. So, but they were walked and wounded. It was so different from the year before. Like I said earlier, that we trained at the rough base, so we didn't go any civic receptions or the mantra was job's not done. That 2 weeks after we beat Canberra in the prelim, or the Bears, I think we beat the Bears. The job's not done. And then at half, because Roy Simmons' last game was our last time we'd have him in the team, and Brandy was captain. And at half time, before the game, Roy spoke, and we were all in tears. And at half time, it was a carbon copy of the year before, down 12-6.
Yep.
And they just 2 tries they scored, like me, and a bouncing ball, and then just through Cole Vanderbilt never missed a tackle, and he missed the one on Brad Clyde, and he put Wood in for his double. So even though we were down a bit, we were still buoyant in the dressing room.
Yeah.
Because we knew that 40 minutes is a long time in footy, and we're only 1 try behind.
Yeah, definitely.
But then about 10 minutes or 15 minutes into the second half, Nobby Clark, he tackled someone, the ball got loose, and Paul Smith picked up and scored. And the touch judge come on and said that Clark had swung the ball at the bloke's head.
Okay.
On replay, you see that it didn't go anywhere near it. Nobby hit him in the shoulder, the ball's come out, Paul Smith picked up, fair try.
Yep.
Every day of the week. So I called touch judge a cheat. I said, you're cheating. Effing cheat. You don't want us to win the comp. And he told Bill. Bill said, Geyer, off. I went, what? He said, you can't call an official a cheat. 10 in the bin. So when he first sent me off, I'm going, what? My world was about to collapse.
Yeah, definitely.
Getting sent off in the grand final. But I'm thank God for Billy, because he gave me 10, and while I was in there, I cooled down a bit, I cooled down a lot, and I realised that when I watched the game back after it, which I have a lot of times, that our 5 forwards who were on that field then tackled their asses off. So when I came back on after 10 minutes down the race, they were kind of, thank God, we've got reinforcements.
Yeah.
And I just was in everything. I just said, I've got to make up for time. And the first time I went out there was a set move we had all year that Gus would put on, and I wasn't in it. I was supposed to run through as a decoy. And they called and went, hey, what is it again? It was North Sydney, I think it was called. and I just got in the way. And next minute I had the ball in my hand.
Oh, that's the one with the pass?
Yeah, I heard, was it Freddie or it was Freddie?
Freddie, yep.
MG, and round the corner to him. And I went, wow, what the hell? I didn't know how I threw that pass. Like, that was just something.
Is that the best pass you've ever thrown?
I threw one in '89. I think we played Bulldogs at Penrith Park, and it was just full mud. It was a quagmire. And I'm going
is that over the head?
Yeah,
Yep.
I threw one over. I was getting pushed in the touch, and I was running 100 miles an hour, and over the head to Brandy, who scored it.
I think
they got to try the year that year for
I think I remember Graham Hughes. I think was commentating.
Yeah.
Guys over the head.
Yeah, the upper oranges or something.
Yeah.
Where were we?
Or is the pass to Royce Simmons to score the try right at the end? Is that your best pass?
That game was, I'm kind of, my whole career is kind of summarised in 1 year, '91, when I won the comp, when I played Origin against Wally, where I played. I made it in the Kangaroo tour. I made my test debut, but that was only half a game against France in the third test. So I realised they didn't give test jerseys away for nothing. And then '91 we played the Kiwis down in Melbourne, and they flogged us. So it was out with the old, in with the new. Myself and Craig Salvatore, Cement, Laurie, we all replaced, the blockers, the Wallies, and we flogged them twice. And so that was the defining year for me. So when it was 12-all, after we scored that try, Brandy then kicked a good field goal. So it was 13-12, and clock was ticking. About 5 minutes to go, 3 minutes to go maybe. No, it would have been 5. And I saw that the late, great Scotty Gale was about to do a short dropout. I went, I've got to get on this, just smother the hell out of it. So as I'm running, I realised, okay, it's going to bounce. And don't want to bounce over your head. So I try to run quicker to dive on it.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And instead of diving on the ball started rolling. I'm going, okay. So I just kept running.
Yeah, okay.
And it just went straight in my chest.
Sweet spot.
And I thought it was going to go in for a try.
Yeah, okay.
But Mal was back there, loitering.
Yeah.
Bastard. And he tackled me around the legs, and I heard, MG. I looked around, there was a little garden gnome, like Benny Hill. He ran, and when I passed that, when he put the ball in that corner, I'd never felt such euphoria in my life. Like, that was a feeling that I never felt in my body. I screamed that loud, that was excitement, that I fractured my larynx.
Oh, wow.
For about a month. I was talking with it like it. And that, we were in the dressing room for about 2 or 3 hours, and they rang the red phone. There's a red phone in the dressing room at the City Footy Stadium back then. That rang because Bob Hawke was in with us, and he left, and it was someone from the club talking to one of our managers, and they said that there's people lining up along the M4 all the way back to Strathfield to get it. So it was a madness. So we're on the bus. We've come around the bus off Mulgar Road, and as we're heading towards the club, you just couldn't get past anything. It was, everyone's packed over in the Hell Oval, the cricket oval. They were going about 30,000 people without the Lees Club.
Yeah. And
where they took us through they paraded us through all the different rooms, and every room was just ballistic.
Yeah.
Because it was the first one, and even weeks after, like, people would just come up saying, thank you. Not thank you for winning, but thank you for now putting us on the map. We were on the map finally, and people took us seriously.
Two things about Royce Simmons. First thing, can you believe that he ran over the top of Glenn Lazarus in that game? And the second thing is, how high did he jump on you when he scored that try?
First one is no. I can't, and Belcher as well. He went through like 3 or 4 players that first. He's so determined.
Yeah.
He wanted it so bad.
He's going to do anything to get it.
You've got to give him the Clive Churchill. Like, sure, 2 tries on the, I mean, the fact that Bradley Clyde got it was a, great player, man. But not that day he wasn't the best player on the ground. No. We had like 4 or 5 players better than him. Otherwise, they would have won the comp. But yeah, that strength he showed to bump Lazaro off was unbelievable. And then when I'm 6'5", and he jumped, he kind of straddled he had his legs almost over my shoulders.
Yeah, it was massive.
I've never seen, it was like he was on a pogo stick.
Yeah, so high.
Like a little miniature trampolines. So that was, it was just the best feeling that, you can ever have on a sporting field.
When you said that was the best euphoric feeling that you'd felt when he scored that try, what about, though, when the full-time hooter went? And
That was relief.
Okay.
That was relief to say we've done it. Like, now you can tick that box and go, so many really good rugby league players have never won one, and that's what everyone wants to do. That's why when we started having a chat about Wayland, when I was 5 or 6 playing for the Wayland Warriors, then I watched. Dad was watching footy, and I'd watch footy and go, I want to do that. That's me. I want to play in a grand final. And I played in 2 and won 1. So I'm so lucky for that.
Definitely, for sure. Well, 1992 was not only a tough year for you and the Penrith community with the loss of Ben Alexander. You had a tough exit as well from Penrith. Did you think at that point that your career was maybe over?
You know what? I didn't really think about footy. I wasn't thinking about footy. I don't think any of us were, who knew Ben like we did. It was just such a shock that it still hasn't sunk in. It's even so many years later. I didn't think about footy. It was the last thing in my mind. And then Penrith wanted me to play 2 weeks after the accident, and I didn't want to. And they said, okay, well, we've got to sort this out. And Don Felder's met me at Penrith Park, and he had my contract in his suitcase, and he said, are you going to play tomorrow against St George in reserve grade? I said, no. He said, well, we've got to rip this up then. So I did, and that was it. Did I think that 6 months later I probably did?
Okay.
I thought I'm not going to play anymore. Like, that's because my manager at the time, Wayne Beavers, was trying to get me a club, and he's saying, big fella, no one wants you. You're damaged goods. I said, oh well, but he said, I'm going to have one more go at Balmain with Alan Jones. And this is the same bloke who 2 years earlier was calling me all the names under the sun when I tried to get Benny and Blocker to be witnesses for the Origin game.
Yep. Okay.
He goes, no, he's the thug.
Okay.
Piss off.
That would have been interesting then.
So yeah, the fact that he wanted me to go there was kind of, I don't know, but he ended up being a bit of a mentor. He was just to see the way the others live. He lived in a big apartment, a big warehouse at Newtown, with butlers and cooks, and every time you go there, you get a club sandwich made for you. Like, it was just, I hated it, but I hated it. I hated going down to Leichhardt every day. I hated not playing for Penrith. I hated it, and I used to try and think of a way every day I could get out of training, and most days I did by saying either I'm sick or one day I was just outside the Twin Servos and traffic was a car park. I was running late for training anyway, so I just ran up the arse of the car in front of me, and I was sorry. Luckily, our trainer was running late too from Camden. He lived in Camden.
Okay, yeah.
He said, "MG, all good, mate. I'll tell Alan that you'll be late."
Yeah.
I said, "Oh,
sweet.
thank you." So I said, "My car's a write-off. I can't get there."
Yeah.
So
and he saw it as well.
and so then I broke my thumb the first game back, and then I was out for 6 weeks, so I didn't see much of him anyway. So, but while that was happening, while that was taking place, I got a call from Western Reds, from Peter Mulholland, saying that we want you and Brad Mackay to be our 2 big signings for the Western Reds. What do you think? I went, okay. So I went on my own, and Gordon Allen was the CEO. I said, I want $180,000 a year. And they said, for 3 years? I said, yep. They said, done. I should have went more.
Yeah, it's always the way.
Because in Super League I did. I said, I'm not going to make that mistake again.
Yeah.
So I'd signed with the Western Reds halfway through the year of 93. And Jonesy got the arse at the end of that year. And then Wayne Pearce took over. And it was really quick to see that we weren't on the same page. We went up to a camp in Nelson's Bay, and I just like to have a drink after training or after a game. Junior wasn't that way inclined. And I said to him, "This is not going to work, is it?" He goes, "No." I said, "No, I don't want to be here. I'd rather do it now than halfway through the year." So then I was in limbo again. My uncle was the treasurer of Umina up at the Central Coast. And when I first left Penrith, he said, "Come up." And I said, "Nah, I've been playing with the country last year, in the country, my state, you know.
Yeah, premiership.
So then after I left Balmain, the second time, I kind of thought about it. And he said, look, the comps start next week. He said, why don't you give yourself a month to clear your head and see what you reckon. So about 2 weeks later, I said, yeah, I'll do it. I'll come up, but I won $1,000 a game. And that was a lot of money, cash, in my hand.
Definitely.
That was a lot of money back then, in like 30 years ago. That's kind of almost 7.5, 8 grand these days. And was a target every game. Yeah, I was still still in a world of pain. And but the Perth thing was we won the comp up there at Yamina. Then as soon as that finished, I kind of thought about Yamina, the Western Reds, because they rang me and said, we need you. I said, nah, mate, I think I might pull the pin.
Okay.
I'm pretty happy here at Yamina. Well, I realised I wasn't. So we fell pregnant that year, me and Meegs, with our first kid, and he was born in the February of 95. So end of 94, she was 6-7 months pregnant. And Perth said, we want Chubby by October 30. I said, done. Give us a hotel for 2 weeks. Find us a nice little house to rent near the Wacker in South Perth, and I'm there. So we went over, Meeg's heavily pregnant with our first kid, Logan, and we stayed in the same hotel where I spoke to the Super League dudes in the Sheraton. Stayed there for 2 weeks. I went over about 90 kilos because I just wasted away up at Yamina. Yeah. And after 2 weeks of being in the hotel room, having club sandwiches for breakfast, lunch and dinner, it was all free, I got up to 110, put 20 kilos on in 2 weeks.
Wow, 10 kilos a week.
Well, I just had to sleep.
Yeah.
I just wasn't sleeping, wasn't eating.
Yeah.
I'd go on the piss all day. I'd wake up and go and have a beer. It was just detrimental. So, and then we had the bub. I just snapped out of it over in Perth. It was kind of, I had to get away.
Yeah, from Sydney.
From everything. It was just... And we went over there for 3 good years. We had, 2 of our kids were born over there. And then when the Western Reds folded, didn't have much time. Like everyone says now about drafts and shit. Like we had a whole club find other clubs within a week.
Yeah, wow.
And had all our shit packed up, and it was all like you can.
If you have to do it, you got to do it.
You have to. So excuse me. So they were all. Most of my ex-teammates at the Reds were getting offers from Melbourne to go there. So about 10 players from the Western Reds went to Melbourne. Some others went to Adelaide, the Rams. And then I'm thinking, what am I going to do? I'm 30. So I think I said, Royce is my only chance. Like, it seemed like yesterday that, we were winning the grand final together.
That's right.
But now you've been coached for a few years. I think 94 he started. I rang him up and said, any chance? I said, you won't have to pay any Super League going to pay for the first 2 years. So you won't be out of money. He said, I'm just worried, big fella, that you might be, I said, no, Sim, I'm not that bloke I was when I left. I've changed. And we come back and, with a little bub, 2 bubs, with another one on the way, and lived at Mum and Dad's house at Cambridge Park for about 3 months. And then my house I'm in now at South Penrith, I had someone renting that for 6 years, 7 years, and their lease was up in 6 weeks, so it worked out well. So I went back into there. First Royce said, you've got to mend a few bridges you burnt before you come back to us. So I had to ring and apologise and have meetings with different hierarchy. They drug test me every week. And after a month of pre-season, they kind of realised that I had changed.
Serious
I was taking all the, I'd actually, Tony and Frank Pullator and Ned Kadich and Jody Gall and Reece Wessar, all these young blokes, Chris Hicks, they're all kind of infatuated with me because they're going, that's MG.
That's MG, yeah.
And here he's back playing with us. So it was kind of like I went the whole 360. I went back as a mentor. And I started as a young, impressionable young fella, watching all these other guys do it. And now here I was telling these young kids and leading at training and in 1.2K time trials and And Simo said, like, you're really impressive. So he said, I'm going to play at front row. You know, your back row days are over. I said, it's fine. Had a couple of injuries in that comeback, but then in the year 2000, my last game, I think I played 24 games that year, all off the bench. So I'm glad I come back for them 3 years, because it was a really good way to mend bridges. And
Well, you do play 23 games in that year, and
Wow.
round 6 you score a try as well. And
Yep.
one of those games in 2000 was just on the other day on Fox against the West Tigers. That crazy game.
Oh, yes.
I think they were leading 23-8
No,
or something.
it was more like 32.
And then you
32-6.
guys come back and win 32-31.
No, it was 31. I think they kicked the field goal.
Yeah.
So it was 31-6 at half time.
Okay, yeah. And then you guys come back to win
And we won 32-31.
Yeah.
What a game.
Oh, it was crazy.
Tony Pullatua scored 2 tries in that second half. And so he was such a dynamic player. And that's why I was his roommate on away trips. And I loved it. I really loved it. I loved being that, that mentor type player. And then at 32, I retired. And then basically, me and my wife had a plan. And that plan was to not say no to anything. Would it be labouring? Would it be... And then I remember Sunrise in 2001. So for the first 12 months, I did work with Luz Ivanovic.
Yep.
In Scat Sports wear.
Yep.
Doing sales work. So Lubo gave me a car, filled it with apparel, jerseys, sports apparel, and I'd make appointments with schools and junior clubs to buy it off me. So that was good, but I was only on like $750 a week. That's after Super League.
Just mentioning Lou there, do you think he believes that he possibly changed your trajectory in life? Because apparently on your first day he hired a public speaking tutor. So do you believe that as well?
Yeah. Oh yeah, bloody oath. He had big plans for me. Like he said, you've got a contagious personality. He said, and I want you to make sure that you reach the heights that you reach. And with the speaking coach, it was more so of how to put together like I had a lot of offers to go and speak at footy clubs. And
Okay, yeah.
so that was more so not how to talk, but how to put stories together.
Okay, yeah.
Like, because I was all over the shop. So this guy just said, look, start at the front, get 2 or 3 moments of your life which are important, and then expand upon them. Now, I've been doing it for a long time. So, but yeah, Lubo, he gave me a chance. He gave me a car. He gave me, helped me out in any way I could. He's just a fantastic bloke. I love him. And then I got a call from the producers at Sunrise. They said, we're looking at doing next year an NRL player in studio and an AFL player down in Melbourne. Would you be able to drive in on a Friday and a Monday to do a preview and a review? I said, yeah, bloody oath. So when I'd done my first cross on Sunrise, I was driving home and I got a call from C91.3 radio. They said, hey, big fella, it was actually one of the Triple M boys, Rob Duckworth.
Oh, yeah.
He was down there with Malcolm Lees, and that's where Stuart Crenny, they went there.
Okay.
He said, I saw you on Sunrise. He said, can we do the same with you? Like on a Friday, Monday, can we just call you on your phone and do what you just did then? I said, great. So that was how it started. Then I just didn't say no. At ABC Radio, I did some sideline, I then in the box, 2UE, 2GB, ABC Radio. And then I was doing Dead Set Legends in 2007 on Triple M, and also working at 1269 2SM
Okay. Yeah.
on Talking Sport. And on that, when I was working on the Saturday show at the Triple M with Billy Birmingham and Rabs and Dan Ganane in Dead Set Legends, I had a missed call from Jamie Angel because I said they were putting together a breakfast show, and I kept wondering why I wasn't getting an audition. So I'm bloody in the stable. And then I knew that McGill and Wallen were part of it, and they were looking for the third wheel.
Yeah.
And they were looking for about 6 to 8 months. because I'm pretty sure Matty Johns was their first choice,
Okay. Yeah.
but he wasn't eligible. He wasn't in the game at the time. So I finally was at 2SM one day, and I went through my voice messages, and if you ring me, and then I say, sorry mate, I've got another call. I'll go to that other call, but with you either hang up or leave a voice message.
Yeah.
I had about 5 of them I hadn't checked.
Okay. Yeah.
And one was from the station manager at Triple M, Jamie Angel, from like 6 weeks ago.
Yeah. Wow.
He thought I was brushing him.
Yeah.
He goes, mate, I've been trying to ring you. I just want to see if you want to come and audition for this breakfast show. I went, rang him straight away. I said, mate, tomorrow 10 o'clock. He goes, done. Because Gus was flying back from England to do auditions.
Okay.
Like Gus was doing round trips every 6 weeks to do auditions for the show.
Yeah.
And he'd done about 40. Like McGilla was Mossman, so he had to come down. So I walked in, I did 2 breaks with them, and they walked out and they said to the producers, or the producer goes, they all went, milled around. They said, okay, well, 2-year contract. And we had the grill team.
Well, speaking of Gus, you share a birthday with him.
Yeah, I do.
He's a great man. He said to ask you about Anzac Day in Turkey, and also Hulk Hogan coming into the studio as well one day.
Yeah. Well, Anzac Day was surreal, 100 years in 2015. And we were at the dawn service for that. We went to Turkey, Istanbul, first for a week, which was unbelievable. And then to be on that site, when you go and see how far and how close they were to each other when they were fighting for days on end, they'd blow a whistle, and each team would go and get their dead soldiers and take them out, and they'd say, and looking at the gravestones, how young these kids were. It blew my mind. It was just such an inspiration. It's one of the things that touches me, because with that dawn service at 4 a.m. when they were doing it, you just imagine, because they said that, of course, the navigational skills weren't that crash hot. When the Aussies landed at Turkey, if they landed 50 metres to the left, they would have been on water which is half a foot deep. Where they landed was on water that was about 20 metres deep.
Okay.
And with their backpacks on,
Yeah, definitely.
2 or 300 sunk and drowned
Yeah.
straight away.
Yeah, wow.
Couldn't get their things out. So you picture these 17, 18-year-old kids who have joined up the fight, a war they didn't know anything about. It was just unbelievable.
Was there a funny story about the plane trip over, about medication, about jet lag or something like that, or that I think I've heard before?
Oh no, I don't know. All I know is that I had for 24 hours I had to sit in front of this screen, which was about a metre away from me, so I had nowhere to put my legs.
Okay.
So I took a couple of sleeping tablets, put my legs up, and slept for the whole time. I said,
Okay.
I said to Gus once we got there, I'm not going back like that. I said, let's go business class. It was about $1,500 back then. I said, if you can, I've got the money. I said, if you pay for me, as soon as we get back, I'll put it in your account. He said, done. So flying back business class, wow,
Yeah.
so much better,
Yeah.
so much better. And Triple M gave us a card with all our money on it, and everywhere we went, I'd say, Gus would go, where's? I said, no currency. So he paid for everything. And then Hulk Hogan, well, that was early days because I loved Hulk Hogan. I still do love Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, the Hulk stuff.
Oh, I'd love him from the days in Rocky. That was when I fell in love with him. Thunderlips.
Yeah,
I
that's
thought he was so
right, yeah.
big, man. So big. I love and I was a big fan of WWF growing up. And he was this bigger than life character. And we're standing there on there. There was me, Gus, Stuart McGill, and Byron Cook, who was our anchor back then in the early days. And then all of a sudden I'm there and look around and went, what the fuck? Hulk Hogan's here on air. Byron goes, MG, we're on air. I said, Hulk Hogan's here. So our security guard, who was a real good bloke, Will, he was bringing him through to go up to AFM to talk to Kyle and Jackie O upstairs.
Yeah.
We said, come here first.
Yeah.
So he's coming with us, spent half an hour with us. And just going all these stories, and at the end of it, because producers always want that extra, they said, MG,
Extra bits.
can MG wrestle you, arm wrestle you? Because we both had our shirts out, we're both
22-inch
yeah, well, he
bipods.
was 22, I'm about 12. And I'm embracing him. He goes, hey, brother, take it easy. My body's battered. I went, sweet. He goes, let me win. So I went, okay, let's go. So that was all the way from Pride Heights.
yeah.
I go, okay, let's go Hulkstar. He goes, "Ugh." And I'm going hard for about 30 seconds. Then I said, okay, now it's time to go backwards.
Okay. Yeah.
And he put me down. He goes, thank you, brother. It means a lot.
Did he make it upstairs to call Jackie out?
Eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah, eventually. But half an hour later,
Yeah.
it was awesome. That was the best thing. It was kind of that was one of them pinch me moments that I've couldn't believe it was in the studio. That's happened a lot of me with guests that over the years on the grill team, and even now when people come in, you just get starstruck. You can't believe that you're actually. I've got about 100 photos in my phone of celebrities that I've interviewed over the years, and I reckon one day I'm going to write like a coffee table book. And give them all a rating, an MG rating out of 10 or something, or because some are real good and some were shit.
Yeah.
We go through the book to find out.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. I'll get one of those as well. Gus mentioned as well, he's still scaring people in the Triple M car park with the mask on.
No, not anymore.
No?
No, because I might give Mick a heart attack. And he's got a driver anyway, so he gets dropped off the front door. But, mate, there was one stage there for about 3 years. I would get Gus, I don't know, at least once a week. Even when he'd park somewhere different, he'd walk in backwards and tippy toe, and he'd look around, and I'd still manage to get him somewhere. So then I'd go up higher in the building, and I'd always get him. I love working with Gussie. It was a great 8 or 9 years on the grill team, and
I think you're doing it to Natasha Belling in the news booth sometimes these days.
yeah. Well, she's taken over for Gussie's role, type thing. She's a great lady, and they're all good. You got to pinch yourself sometimes to do what we do. It's breakfast radio in Sydney's bloody hard gig, man. And I've done it now for 11, going on 12 years.
Yeah.
But it's the gym's what's really I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about radio because you couldn't do it unless you're passionate.
Yeah.
Because it's to get up the hours I get up to do it. It's you got to love what you're doing, and I do, and that's the same with the gym. The gym for me, I've got to get up at the same time. So that it's just my 2 kids who I watch them how they handle people now. It just makes you proud. This makes you proud to say that they've evolved. 4 years. We were 4 years old yesterday.
Yep.
Or last Sunday. So that's gone very quick. I was just talking to your wife before, Amanda, about how quick COVID's gone. Like 4 years ago around now, we're in our first lockdown.
That's right.
And our gym was... Oh, no, it wasn't, because the gym opened... My gym opened 4 years ago last Sunday, the 4th. And 6 weeks later, we're in lockdown for 3 months.
Yeah, so what were you thinking then? You were thinking...
I'm still paying rent.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
So I thought straight away, let's get something online.
Yeah,
So we had a system where anybody who had... At that time, we had about 50 members. We said to them, if anyone wants to... We'll cancel all your contracts, but those that want to stay on and pay back then it was $38.50 a week, we'll do 2 classes a day online.
Yeah.
So about half stayed on, which kind of covered our rent, so thank God. But yeah, now we've got close to 200 members, and it's evolving. It's evolving every week. Our gym, we get different ages, different walks of life coming into it, and I love it. I've always been a gym junkie. This is different. This is kind of when it's your own. It's got no mirrors, so there's no expectations. No one can sit in the mirror and pose, and it's a nice, easy way to keep people fit, both physically and mentally.
Well, it's a great family business, and you're a very proud family man as well. It's going great guns. Give it a plug. Anyone who wants to join MG Active.
MG Active, take away the E. MG ACTIV. We're on York Road in South Penrith or Jamison Town, and if you want to come in and give us a go onto our website and grab a 5-day free trial. Give it 5 days, and if you don't like it, 90% of people who get the 5-day free trial sign on. Yep.
Well, let's talk about another family member of yours, Mav Geyer. As you mentioned him before, he's in the top 30 squad this year for the Panthers. Are we going to see him possibly make his first grade debut this year, do you think?
Well, that's one of the questions I get asked a lot of these days, from different people. And I think I don't know. Is the answer? I
Yeah.
don't know because the fact that he's training so well now, and the fact that Hoskins has left for Canberra opens the door somewhat.
Yeah.
But who knows, Troy? It's he can only do what he can do, and let's not forget he's at a club where they've won 3 comps in a row.
That's right.
So
yeah.
you've got to have one of the incumbents have a pretty shit run of form to dislodge him for a guy who hasn't played first grade before.
Well, hopefully during an Origin period.
Look,
maybe.
I think he has ticked every box. Like he's now a first grade rugby league player. Even though he hasn't played it, just to look at the size of him, look the times he's running at training, the dedication. He loves it. He wants to be. He lives and breathes it. He's always stretching. He's doing yoga. He's meditating. He takes it really seriously. And I said, if you keep doing that, you can't do anything else. Just be consistent, and luck might come your way.
It'd be great to see another MG
Yeah.
in a Penrith jersey. And is he still eating about 40 eggs a week?
Mate, honestly.
Is it 40 eggs a week? I think it
50,
was.
isn't he? 50.
50, yeah, okay.
He eats like 5, 6 a day.
Yeah, wow.
And some days on the weekends when he's like days off, and no, he's good. He's just a good kid, Troy. He just he's not a lair. He's not up himself. I wouldn't let him be like that. None of his sisters and brothers would let him be like that. None of his mother wouldn't let him be like that. He loves rugby league, and I love watching him play. And I hope that this is the year that he can fulfil a goal.
Yeah, well, let's wish him all the best,
Yep.
and hopefully he gets his crack. Lily Pilly Wines as well, that you're involved in as well.
Yep.
Talk us about that one as well.
I went out to Leeton for a function year before last when I had a bad elbow. I had an operation on my elbow, and I went out with like in like a half cast, and I met a bloke there called Frankie who runs the IGA out there, and his family are synonymous with Leeton, and he sells Happy Days port and Happy Days vodka. So he wanted me to help promote that, and I said yep. So I went out again in March last year and for another gig, and this time he said to me, my uncle's got a winery. Do you want to come and do some taste testing on the way out? I said, do I what? So me and a mate went a bit earlier to Leeton, about a 6-hour drive. Got there and started tasting the wine. I went, whoa, I like wine.
Yeah.
As soon as I had like a few tastes of this different wine, I said, and I met the uncle, who's a great bloke. I said, how do I get involved in this? And they said, like this. I said, okay, done. So, yeah, so if anyone, any of your listeners or friends want Lily Pilly wine, you go to their website, you put in the code WildPanther91, and you get 20% off all wine.
Bargain. Well,
Yep.
I'm going to have to give the Shiraz a crack.
Oh, that's my favourite.
Yeah?
Oh, that and the Sauv Blanc and the white.
Okay.
The white, yeah.
Yeah,
But the Shiraz is...
good stuff. We'll have to jump on that one. We'll do a quick top 10, and you can elaborate on it if you want to.
Yep.
Taking out that you work on radio, what's your preference, TV or radio?
I've done both. And TV is a lot of hurry up and wait. Everything's more spontaneous with radio, so radio.
Okay, yep. Summer or winter?
Summer by a mile.
Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
Yes, big yes.
Tea or coffee?
Tea.
Okay.
I stopped drinking coffee about 8 months ago.
Yeah? Okay.
I was just having too much of it and was spinning me out a bit, so I drink tea now.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough.
English breakfast.
English breakfast. I think James Graham, that's his favourite, I think. English breakfast, I think. Star Wars or Star Trek?
Haven't watched any of them.
No?
No.
Okay.
I had this conversation on the way to Albury last Friday with my mate,
Okay.
and we're going through movies, and I said, I haven't seen Star Trek or I've never seen Star Wars, so I'm going to watch Star Wars soon.
Okay. Yeah, that's like a friend of mine. She's never seen any Rambo or Rocky movies.
Wow.
So that's interesting. Arnold or Sylvester then?
Sylvester.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sly, yeah. Well, this one's probably not too good for yourself, but McDonald's or KFC?
Both great. I love both of them. No, I have to go Macca's.
But I suppose you can always go to the gym and work it off.
Oh, mate, yeah. Like I give myself a cheat meal once a week,
Yeah.
and a cheat day. Like
Yeah, okay,
I
yeah.
Yeah, life's too short not to enjoy it.
That's right. This one will be easy. Morning or night person?
I'm a morning person.
Yeah. Coke or Pepsi?
Coke.
And Seinfeld or Friends?
Seinfeld.
Yeah. Who's your favourite Seinfeld character?
Kramer.
Yeah.
Or Newman.
Yeah. Newman. All right, we'll wrap things up with a set of 6. Favourite sport outside of rugby league?
UFC.
Yeah, not bad. Favourite holiday destination?
Terrigal.
Yeah, I know. I probably pretty much know the
You know
answers.
all these answers.
Yeah. Now, this one will probably be hard because you have met a lot of famous people through your work on the radio, but who would be the most famous person, either, say, dead or alive, that you would love to have met or can meet?
I would love to have met Elvis Presley. That would have been I loved Elvis growing up. Still love his music. But the most famous I met, we were in the Kangaroo Tour in 1990 and we were playing in France. And this actor was making a movie at Carcassonne. We were playing. He was making Robin Hood. And at half-time in our game against the French second 11, we only winning by like 10 points, it was freezing cold. There's a big kerfuffle. Everyone went, and I heard photos getting taken.
Yeah, click, click.
Yep, and we had a photographer now who followed us around for the whole 3 months, and he was just going crazy. I went, what the hell? And in walks Kevin Costner.
Oh, yeah, wow.
Who was filming Robin Hood
Yeah.
at Carcassonne. And like when you're sitting there, when your footy jersey, and this guy walks in going, the first thing I looked at that I noticed was he's got these big, like 4-inch heels on his shoes.
Okay.
So it made him look about 6'2", but he's probably about 5'10".
Okay.
But yeah, I've got a photo with him, and Kevin Costner was the biggest. And meeting Hulk Hogan was another buzz.
Yeah.
Like just surreal.
Yeah, for sure. Which 3 former players wouldn't you want to be stuck on a deserted island with, and why?
Steve Carter, he'd just flick your ears and be a pain in the arse. That's Nobby Clark. He'd just moan and groan. He'd go, hold me, oh my. And probably Benny Elias as well.
Okay.
I played a year at Balmain with him and played Origin with him, Kangaroo Tour with him. All great blokes, but yeah, not a desert island.
Yeah,
No.
fair enough. What's your specialty dish in the kitchen or on the barbecue?
I make mean scrambled eggs.
Okay, yeah, nice.
For brekkie. I can make most breakfasts. I'm not that good in the night time of cooking. But barbecue, yeah, I can do anything on the barbie.
Yeah.
I'm just branching out into making fish,
Okay.
cooking fish on the barbie that I've never done before. So I've done that a couple of times in the last month or so when it's been warm. And just, so making some different meals on the barbecue that the kids like, because they don't just like sausages and steak. These kids these days are sport, man.
Nice. Favourite musician or band to listen to?
In excess.
Yeah, you mentioned that one before.
And,
what's your favourite In Excess song?
Probably Johnson's Aeroplane
Okay.
off their Swing album.
Yeah.
Also like Rumours from Fleetwood Mac as well. That's a great album as well. I love all music. I've got like 12,000 songs on my Spotify.
Yeah. Wow.
So if you ever follow me on my Spotify and check it out.
Yeah, I reckon you got great taste, so I might have to check that one out. Look, it's going to be a 7-tackle set because I've just got one more.
Go for it.
What is the most unique thing about MG?
The most unique thing is that I'm so different than what people think. I think people think of every time people haven't met me have a preconceived idea about me, and I prove them more wrong every time because they expect me to be someone I'm not, and that's the best. That's the most unique thing I've got going for me.
Beautiful.
I surprise people.
Yeah, and sometimes with a mask on in a car park.
Or at home playing Sunday Night Man.
That's it. Well, MG, Mark Geyer, thank you very much for coming to the Para Cave today.
Anytime.
We've chatted for an hour and a half here nearly, and there's probably a lot more I could have asked as well. Look, for coming here today, I'll give you a Para Cave podcast hat as well for being
I'm not worthy.
a guest on the show. I know you've got your MG Active hat on, but that's for coming out here. And look, Hopefully, in a couple of weeks' time, I can get you on for another game day preview against Parramatta and Penrith.
Yeah, definitely.
Round 2. And look, all the best with Lily Pilly Wines and MG Active. And listeners, if you want to hear more of MG, tune in to Triple M 104.9 Monday to Friday with Mick and MG in the morning. So, MG, thank you very much for coming to the Parra Cave and being on the podcast.
Absolute pleasure, brother. You keep up the great work, and let's hope we see a Penrith and Parramatta grand final.
Yeah, with the opposite result.
Thank you, buddy.
Thanks, MG.
See you, mate.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Parra Cave Podcast. See you next time.